Hi again, everybody. It's your old pal, the History Nerd. I am back in the man cave, and in this video, we are going to unbox and review the Stetson Boss of the Plains cowboy hat that a delivery driver who was much too preoccupied with his personal hygiene delivered to my home today. So, in the words of Mr. T, let's quit the jibber jabber and get busier than a mosquito at a nudist colony. Now, I am excited about this video and for lots of reasons. First of all, the Boss of the Plains by Stetson is the most important hat in the history of the company. It is the first hat that John B. Stetson ever created. The first hat he ever sold. The entire Stetson company was built upon the Stetson Boss of the Plains. Secondly, the Boss of the Plains that is sold today is a unique hat among those sold by Stetson, and I will tell you why in a moment. But first, I need to give you the history of the Boss of the Plains hat because, as I said, it's the most important hat Stetson has ever made. So, John Batterson Stetson was born in 1930 as one of 12 children to his parents who made hats for a living. So John Stetson learned the hat trade from the bottom up, how to make them, how to sell them, learned all of it growing up as a boy. When he got to be a young man, his health took a bad turn and doctors told him he needed to go west for a while because the warmer, drier climate was better for his health. So he went west, and at one point he and some friends took an extended hunting trip to Pikes Peak. They were there for a couple of months, actually. And John Stetson discovered something. Back then, cowboy hats were not yet a thing. They weren't worn, they weren't invented. So men around the 1850s wore what's called bowler hats. They look like a bowl that someone turned over on top of your head, and they have these little small short brims. If you've ever seen a Charlie Chaplin movie or a Laurel and Hardy movie, they wore bowler hats. And John Stetson discovered that when you're living for an extended time in the wild, a bowler hat is about as useless as tits on a boar hog. So he one day said, I know how to make hats. I can make a better hat than this pizza crap on my head. I will design a hat for people to wear in the wild. So while his friends were out hunting one day, he took the skins from the animals that they had already killed, took the fur off of them, put them in boiling water, fashioned them into felt, and he made a wide brim hat, wider than any brim known at that time, and a hat with a tall crown. And he wore that hat. The next time he wore that hat into town, a horseman going by him, the story goes, stopped his horse in the middle of the street and said, "My son, that is the most fantastic hat I've ever seen. I will pay you $5 for that hat," which in the 1850s was a crap ton of money. So John Stetson said, "Here's my hat," took the money, and he hurried back east to Philadelphia, where he borrowed money, opened the John Stetson Hat Company, and began making the hat he designed on that hunting trip, and he named it the Boss of the Plains. Now, why was the Boss of the Plains a great hat for being in the wild? Well, it kept the sun off of your head and neck, unlike the little bowler hats. When it rained, it kept the rain off. If you were making a fire and you needed to get the embers going, a little bowler hat's not going to do much for you. But a big, wide brim Boss of the Plains, that's going to get those embers glowing. When you went to the river, if you needed water, you could actually use the Boss of the Plains to scoop water in and carry water in the Boss of the Plains. And back then, when men were traveling long distances across the plains on horseback, they needed somewhere to keep their valuables and papers. So what they would do with this tall crowned hat, they would line it with their valuable papers and keepsakes that they didn't want people knowing about. They would stick them under this large hat, which you could not do with a bowler. The Boss of the Plains became wildly popular, and John Stetson's company took off, and it is still in business today. Now, I have found what I think is a very interesting photo to share with you. It shows an Apache Indian or Native American or indigenous person or dude who got his land taken by the white devil. Whatever term makes you sleep better at night, use it. But in any case, I found a picture of an Apache wearing one of the Boss of the Plains hats. And you can see what I'm talking about. It is a tall, crowned, wide-brimmed hat. If you've ever seen the movie Tombstone, Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer and the others in the movie Tombstone are wearing Boss of the Plains hats. Which brings us to the Boss of the Plains hat today. This does not look like the Boss of the Plains hat that John Stetson designed. The hats made today are not replicas, they're an homage. They pay respect by using the same name to Stetson's hat that he designed. But this is an entirely different animal. And as I said, it's unique among the hats that Stetson sells because each hat is hand dyed. So no two hats are the same color. In addition to that, Stetson weathers the hats. They use paint and powder and cosmetic material to make these hats look weathered as if you've been wearing them for 6 months while riding across the plains. So this is a unique hat that Stetson makes. As a matter of fact, I printed out the description, part of the description that Stetson uses in marketing this hat, and I will share it with you today. It says, with its unmistakable profile and signature distressed patina, the Boss of the Plains may be our most iconic hat, the ultimate marriage of form and function. It says the Boss of the Plains is handcrafted, hand-dyed, and hand-distressed. This means no two hats have the same color or character, marking each hat truly one of a kind. It's then finished with a leather hat band unique to each hat. Pictured here shows the spectrum of colors that may be included when ordering the assorted brown Boss of the Plains hat, which is what I have ordered. So this is potluck. I didn't pick the color, I didn't pick the look, I just bought the hat, and what you get is what you get, other than it's supposed to be an assorted brown. So with that said, let me open my trusty knife and we will open this hat. I will tell you, I am already disappointed in one thing about this hat. The Boss of the Plains, this Boss of the Plains, is a 6X Stetson hat, which means it is a fur felt hat, not a wool felt hat. It is a $180 hat. It's got some beaver and rabbit fur in it. It is a fur felt hat, which is one of the higher end Stetson hats. So you would think that it would come in one of the big official Stetson boxes. You see, I store all of my hats, and as you know, the History Nerd has a ton of Stetson hats. I store all of them in the top of my closet or under my bed in the official Stetson box. So I'm a bit disappointed that this comes in just a shipping box, not a Stetson box. But we will live with that. As I said, it's a 6X hat. It is $180. And let's see what Stetson sent us. We will open this hat, and I can tell you right off the bat, History Nerd is not happy, because this is not a brown hat. This is a black hat, and History Nerd does not wear black hats. When History Nerd has a black hat on, he looks a bit like a goober from the Andy Griffith show. And I don't know if you can see this on camera. This is not, in fact, a black hat. This is a navy blue cowboy hat. It's like a midnight blue, navy blue cowboy hat. Stetson has sent me not a brown distressed cowboy hat, a blue distressed cowboy hat with a blue leather band. I am not sure what in the blue hell the History Nerd is supposed to do with a blue cowboy hat. So I can assure you that by the time you see this video, this blue ass hat will be in a box being shipped back to Stetson. I am not happy at all. And this weathered look that they bragged about basically looks like somebody emptied a vacuum cleaner bag on the hat. It does not look naturally weathered. It looks just like somebody dumped the contents of a vacuum cleaner on it. So I am not happy with this hat. But let's keep going like we usually do. Let me tell you a little bit about the dimensions of this hat. The crown on this hat is it's a 4 5/8 crown with a cattleman crease on it. The brim is a 4-inch brim that's in a taco shape, and I don't like the shape of hat. If I were going to keep this hat, which I'm not, because who needs a blue cowboy hat? What 55-year-old, grown, largely girthed, big guy like me needs a blue cowboy hat? Anyway, were I to keep this hat, I would steam it and reshape the brim, but we needn't worry about that. As I said, the blue cowboy hat also has what looks to be a blue leather hat band with metal buckles and metal end pieces on the buckle. If this were not a blue hat, that would not be a bad looking hat band, but it's on a blue hat. So it is it is unfortunate. So let's go to the inside of the hat. The inside of the hat has a Stetson lining. The leather hat band, sweatband, it's not naugahyde, it's leather. The leather sweatband says on the front 6X 100% pure fur felt. Does not mention the fact that it's blue, just says that it's 100% pure fur felt. This side of the hat says John B. Stetson Company, made in the USA. Stetson hats are made in Garland, Texas, and this hat will soon be back on the way to Garland, Texas. It's got the sticker inside that says assorted browns. This hat is an assorted brown. First of all, it's not brown. I think it was meant to be black, but it came out blue. So it is not an assorted brown hat. And then on the inside, you have the satin lining with the Stetson logo in the top. It's very unfortunate, folks, because if this hat were brown, like they said it would be, I would be happy with it. I would reshape it. I'd probably work some of this weird looking powder out of it and try to gussy it up if it were brown. But a blue hat, I'm not even going to bother. If I seem upset, I am. And for the same reasons, I am sorry that I ordered this hat, and I was very excited to get this hat. For the same reasons that I am so very disappointed right now, you should think twice before ordering a Stetson Boss of the Plains, because it is, in all honesty, a complete crapshoot about what you get, and I got crap. But look, in each video, I try on the hat. And as I have said each time, with the setup I have here, I cannot see what I look like. So if I look like an idiot, and I will when I put this hat on, if I look like an idiot, you will know that I look like an idiot before I know that I look like an idiot. And so with that said, I will try on this hat. It fits pretty good, folks, but take a picture and save it. Put it in your photo album, because this is the only time you will see the history nerd wearing a blue cowboy hat. I will tell you who I feel like right now. There is a Florida congresswoman named Frederica Miller. She is a black Democrat from Florida, and she is famous for wearing outrageously colored cowboy hats in the corridors, committee rooms, and chambers of the U.S. Congress. And I can tell you that right now, I feel and probably look like Frederica Miller wearing a blue-ass cowboy hat on her head. So that's it, folks. Thankfully, this video is over, and I can go back in the house and package this hat to send back to Stetson first thing in the morning. But look, if you liked this video and you like the other videos on our channel, I need you to do 3 things for me. I need you to give me the Fonzie thumbs up, hit subscribe, and ring the bell, so the next time I fire up the old YouTube gizmo, you will be among the first to know. My friends, like I say at the end of every video, I want you to do 3 things for me. Be good, be well, be happy, and if you wear a size 7 3/4 hat and you've been in the market for a blue beaver felt cowboy hat, Stetson will have one in like new condition very soon that you can purchase for yourself. So my friends, goodbye, God bless, and we will see you on the next episode of History Nerds Man Cave.
History